Okay, so percentage change. Again, all of this should be familiar to you because you've done it all last year. So we may be given two amounts. Okay, so it could be a starting amount, a starting amount and a finishing amount. And you're asked to find the percentage change. So in other words, how much has it changed from one to another? It's always going to be as a percentage of the original amount. Now that original amount may be the smaller one or it may be the bigger one. Okay, so you just need to make sure you're dividing by the original amount. Okay, so here's an example here. The number of pupils attending a school has increased from 258 to 350. What is the percentage change? So, to calculate any percentage change, you're going to follow these steps. First of all, you find the actual change in amount. Okay, so if you're going to find the percentage change, you need to just find how much they change from one to another. So you're going to subtract one value from the other. I would suggest you're normally going to do the bigger number, subtract the smaller one. And you don't have to. You can do the whichever, the new, subtract the old, whatever. And if you do, some of them you may get a negative value here. Anyway, so from here we've gone from 258 to 350. So we do 350, subtract 258. Thank you. You're going to then divide this number, okay, so that number we've just got, by the original amount. What was the original amount here? 350, okay? Oh, here, this is where we're supposed to be writing it. I apologize. So, what was the number? So this was 92. Yeah. And so we've got 92 divided by, sorry, what was the original amount? 350. Sure? That's the original, no, it's the original amount. Okay, what does original mean?
The first one.
The first one. So it's what it started at. So it's going to be divided by 258. And you're then going to multiply that value by 100. Now, you don't have to do this as a separate step. You can just go straight into multiply by 100. So I've combined steps 2 and 3, okay? So I've done 92 divided by 258, which is my original value, and then you multiply that by 100. Now, this is a percentage change, so your answer must have a percent sign. I don't know what that is.
35.6 recurring.
35.6 recurring percent, thank you. Now, if we were rounding that to 3 significant figures, that would obviously be 35.7. Okay, so you either have the recurring sign or you have it to 3 significant figures. But it is, as I say, it's a percentage change. So you need to make sure you have the percent. No. If you're at 35.6 only, you wouldn't get it.
Could you get like the recurring?
Because and you round it, that would be big. So this method of...
Sorry. If it was, if it was recurring, it was just...
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So this method of finding percentage change is often used in practical situations when talking about percentage profit or loss. Okay, because obviously when you've bought something for an amount, one amount, and you've sold it for another amount, you've got two amounts, yes? And so that's always going to be a percentage change calculation. So whilst it may be labelled or in textbooks or something separate, the process is exactly the same as any percentage change. The only difference here is that, well, it's not really a difference, but you're always going to be dividing by the amount that it cost you, okay? So if something costs you $20 and you ended up selling it for only $12, it would be a loss, it would be a percentage change, it would be a negative percentage change, but it would be a loss, and so you would always need to make sure you're dividing by how much it costs you. Okay, so that's the only difference when it comes to profit and loss. Now, I'm saying this assuming that everyone understands the phrase profit and loss. Anyone going, what's your... So what does it mean if we've made a profit? You've gained money. In other words, you bought it for an amount and then you've sold it for more. Okay? And a loss is obviously you bought it for an amount and you have to end up selling it for a smaller amount. Okay? Right. So, as I said, it's exactly the same process. So, e.g., it costs $3.75 to make a t-shirt and they're sold for $8. Calculate the percentage profit. Okay? So we first of all find that how much money we've actually made. So you're going to do 8 subtract 375. Okay, which gives us 425. Yes, Sarah.
Why did you do 8 first when 375 came up first?
All right, so this is when you're finding the actual difference, you don't need to always do the original amount first or the cost first. It's just important when you're doing the dividing. I would suggest when you're finding the difference, probably yes, because otherwise you're going to have negatives and that might confuse you. You need to just make sure that, especially for percentage changes at the top, if your value started off higher and ended up lower, then it's going to be a percentage decrease. Okay. If it was started lower and went high, it's going to be a percentage increase. You are very capable young ladies. You should be able to look at those numbers and decide if it's an increase or decrease. Similarly, for this situation, you can see that we bought them for $3.75 and sold them for $8. So we know that we're making a profit here. Yes?
That's a 25.
Yep. Okay, so step 2 and 3 I'm actually going to do in the same thing again. So our change was 425. We divide by which value?
Original.
The original was 375. And we multiply that by 100. Okay, now that may look like an unusual number and people often start saying, but you can't have more than 100%. Okay, you can.
You said it's 4.25. I thought it was 4.25. No.
It's $8 subtract $3.75, so it's $4.25. Yeah. If you work in cents, then yes, it would be 425. Okay. So we've made $113% profit. Okay. Now that kind of makes sense because look, it only cost $3.75 and they were sold for $8. So you know that you've more than doubled your money. Yes, do you understand that? So if you make 100% profit, it means that you've doubled your money. What cost you $1, you sold for $2. You've made 100% profit. Okay. So we can see that it would be more than 100% profit because it's more than double the amount. Okay, does everyone understand that? I think I want to fly through a few more of these notes because, as I say, you have done these previously, and so you need to make sure that. So we need to just practice them. The thing when it comes to practicing percentages is just to make sure that you're understanding which one of these you're doing. And the only way you're going to do that is by actually learning them all and then being launched into lots of different questions. So reverse percentages. These are the ones that often catch people out. Okay, so I'm warning you now, these can be considered a little trickier. But it's really important that we remember how we did our percentage increase decrease. Okay, let's just have a quick recap. That's how we did these. So if I was increasing $30 by 20%, do we remember what we did? Who can remember the method if we were increasing something by 20%? Oh, what do we have of them?
I thought I did what I thought.
So you do 1% plus 20 to 120.
Where is this? Yeah, where is it? That.
2 pages back.
And then you do 100 times.
Good, awesome. So a percentage increase, we have 120 over 100 multiplied by 30. Who can tell me what 120 divided by 100 is? Without using a calculator, you should be able to do it just like that. Someone other than George can answer the first question. Anyone can do this, whether they understand about percentages or not. 120 divided by 100. Without a calculator.
Can I guess that?
No, we don't. No, ladies, we should not need a calculator for this. How do we divide any number by 100?
Oh, that was.
Let's think about this. Let's not panic that the teacher's asking us a question. Let's think about this. How do you divide a number by 100? How many?
You like take out zeros.
I can't. I've only got 1 0, so does that mean the answer is 12?
So you take out.
Hey, Hannah, Ethel?
Do you move the decimal to the
Yeah.
right twice because it has two
To the
zeros?
right twice, so I would get 12.
I mean to the left. Sorry.
Yep, it's been dividing, so we would move. So what would my value be?
1.20.
1.2 or 1.20, yes. So ladies, everyone should have been able to answer that. You know how to divide something by 100, okay? By 100, by 1,000, by 10, by a million, by anything. You're moving your decimal point, however number of zeros there are, okay? So if there were 15 zeros on the bottom here, you'd move your decimal point back 15 times, yes? This here, this 1.2 or 1.20, is known as our decimal multiplier. Okay, so if we were increasing something by 20%, we would always multiply it by 1.2 or 1.20.
Oh, I was going to say the answer for
Oh, right, okay. Not to worry too, I'm not so worried about the answer. It's this part here that I was more wanting to remind you. Okay? Is that a question, Emily?
If it says increase $30 by 20%, why is it a small number? Shouldn't it be a bigger number?
We haven't done the answers, sweetheart. We haven't done them all.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. Now, if I wanted to increase something by 8%, okay? Let's try and do a lot of this stuff in our heads. What would I be multiplying it by if I was increasing something by 8%? I've got the 2 same hands up every time. Does that mean no one else in this room knows what's going on? Eliana, do you have any idea what we would multiply it by if we were trying to increase something by 8%?
Multiplied by 8?
Nope. Have a look at what we've just done. Okay, we need to be able to look at examples, prior examples, and see if we can apply that similar method. Imani,
1.08.
you would do 1.08. Okay? How did we get that? Well, we started with 100, we added on 8, we had 108 divided by 100, which gives us 1.08. If we wanted to increase something by, if you wanted to increase something by 23%, okay, if you wanted to increase something by 23%, Eliana, this time?
1.23.
1.23, exactly that. You would multiply it by 1.23. If you wanted to increase something by 59%. Okay, everybody's hands should be up here now. Kelsey, what would I multiply it by if I wanted to increase something by 59%? Have a look at the prior example, sweetheart. So when we were increasing it by 20%, we multiplied it by 1.20. When we were increasing it by 8%, we multiplied it by 1.08. When it was 23%, it was 1.23. What do you think it's going to be for 59%? Have a look at these other ones. Look, 1.20, 1.08, 1.23. 1.59. Okay. Because we're increasing it, so you're always going to make sure that you've got more than 100%. Okay. because the value is always going to be bigger. So you're always going to multiply it by 1 point something. Sarah?
I have a quick question. So for the one up at the top one, it's like Amy said, it wasn't finished. It was 1.20. Would we do anything else with that? Or just
Yes, what did we say we would do with that? We would multiply it by the number we're trying to increase. So what were we trying to increase?
30.
So you do 1.20 times 30.
And then that would be 50.
That'll give you the answer. Okay? Okay, just a couple more of these. I need to make sure that you understand this. If I was going to increase something by 3%, okay, so it's not a big increase, what would I multiply by? Again, everybody's hand should be up. Sienna?
1.03.
1.03, good. If I was to increase it by 19%, Indigo, what would I multiply it by? Good. Okay, do we get the idea? So if we are increasing an amount by a percentage, we would multiply it by these numbers here, which is called our decimal multiplier.
So for, this is just like a general question, for like the places behind the decimal, will you say like 0.8, like 2.3, and not like 23?
Oh, I would say 2, 3. Yeah. Because 20 indicates it would be in the tens column. And it's not, it's in the tens column.
So when we did this question before, we wrote 1.2 times 30, and then 120 divided by 1.2 times 30.
There's 2 ways.
Yeah, remember I said that you could go to this quick one, which is identifying this value straight away. Or you could do it in a slightly slower way and say 120 divided by 100.
So is the answer
you the wrong
36?
answer. Pardon?
Is the answer 36?
Either way, you would get 36. Okay? So that's increasing. We all understand increasing.
Yes.
Decreasing, similar. Okay, it's similar. But this time, we're going down. Okay, so are we going to have more than 100%? No, you're going to have less than 100%. So you have to say to yourself, right, I'm decreasing it by 10%. Our starting amount always was 100. So if we decreased it by 10%, what amount would we have now? Taj?
110. When you say
Be careful, sweetheart. We are decreasing. Okay, so we've now got only 90%. Okay, what's the decimal multiplier if we're trying to find 90% of something? Hannah?
0.9.
0.9. So a 10% decrease. So decreasing by 10% meant we were going to multiply it by 0.9 or 0.90. How about a decrease of 5%? What do you think we would multiply it by if we were decreasing it by 5%? Think about what we did here. We did the 100, subtract 10, divided by 100. I don't know what's going on with this board. Sarah?
Well, since you want to decrease it more, would you make the number bigger?
No, you're decreasing it by 5%. So think about what we did here. How did we get to 0.90?
Oh, with the decimal, so would it be 0.05?
Now, is the 10 here? Remember that we have to do a step before. So have a think about it. Have a look back up here. Don't put your hand up too soon if you're not sure of the answer. Imani?
0.95.
Good. 0.95. Imani, how did you get that?
So I took 180 away, 5 away from 100. I got 95. And then I times it.
Okay.
Divided by 100.
Okay. So, do you see how that was similar, Sarah? So this one here, it was 10% decrease. So we did 100, take away 10, and we got 90, and then divided that by 100. So this one would be 0.95. Okay, if I wanted to decrease something by 20%, okay, so if I wanted to decrease something by 20%, think about the percentage you have left now. Okay, so think about what you started with, what you finished with. Maya. Oh, at the bottom. Good go. 0.8. 0.8 or 0.80. How did you get that, Maya? Just to make sure everyone's with you. 100 subtract 20 gives you 80, and then you divided that by 100. Does everyone understand it? Okay, so let's just try a few more. Obviously, none of these words match what I'm writing here now. It's just on the same page. If I wanted to decrease something by 30%, okay, if I'm decreasing something by 30%, Amy, what would I multiply it by?
0.30.
Be careful, you're
70.
good. Okay, you're decreasing it by 25%. You're decreasing it by 25%. Indigo, what would you multiply it by?
0.8. No, 75.
Okay, do we all get the understanding?
Yes.
Okay, and what are these called, Amber? What are these numbers here called? What kind of number is this? Okay, and what do we do with it? What's the fancy word for times? So it's called the decimal multiplier. Okay, so these numbers here are called the decimal multipliers. Right, now you may be thinking, why on earth are we going through all that? Well, what's happening now is that in these questions, you're being told that something has been increased or has been decreased. But they haven't told you the original number. They've told you the new number. So say, for example, M Squared went shopping and she found that this was on sale. She got this for $30 on sale. Okay? It was on a 20% sale. So we want to know, well, how much was it originally? Now, if she only paid $30 for this and it was on sale, we cannot find 20% of this number and then add it on, because this new amount is smaller than the original. Okay, so when things are being increased or decreased, the money that you're saving or adding on is always based on the original number. So we cannot just find a percentage of the new amount and add it on. We're not going to get the right answer. What we have to do is we have to say, right, well, what has happened to our value? So, a shirt was in a sale with 15% off. I only had to pay $25 for it. How much was the shirt originally? So, we'll always going to end up by dividing, okay? I'll give you that as a hint. So, what would we do? Wow, there's lots of words here. Okay, so reminding ourselves that the number we divide by will depend on whether the amount has been increased or decreased. If the number has been increased, you're going to be dividing by a value of 1 point something. Remember, in all of our decimal multipliers, when something had increased, our value was always 1 point something. If the number has been decreased, you're going to be dividing by 0 point something, because it's less than 100%. So let's remind ourselves again, if increasing by 15%, we should all be able to fill this in straight away. Eliana, what do I multiply?
You multiply by...
Don't do it on the calculator, sweetheart. You can do this in your head.
85.
You're increasing by 15%.
Oh, so 1.15.
Good go, 1.15. If increasing by 24%, Hannah FL, what would we multiply by?
1.24.
Lovely. Amelie, if we're increasing by 5%, we multiply by?
By 1.05.
Good go. Abby, if we're increasing by 30%, what do we multiply by?
1.30.
Okay, we're now into decreasing. Notice I stopped and I checked my words. You don't always do that. It's sometimes not a great skill that some people have. They keep merrily going and don't read the questions carefully. So now we're decreasing by 15%. In Taj?
0.1.
No. No. Sarah?
75.
Not 75.
I'm sorry. 85.
85. 0.85. Remember, it's 100 subtract 15. If decreasing by 24%, n squared. 0.76. If decreasing by 5%, Amy.
0.97.
And if decreasing by 30%, Hannah.
0.30.
No.
Or just 3.
No. One. 0.70. Remember, it's 100. Subtract that value. Okay. Got to really remember that. So that's what we were. We would have multiplied by if we were increasing. So when finding the original amount, we need to divide by these numbers. So back to this shirt. It was in a sale. Now, again, sometimes people are not great at reading questions carefully. If something is in a sale, has it been increased or decreased? Decreased, okay? So we need to think about that. So we would have multiplied this by what?
0.85.
Good. So our original number that we're trying to find, our unknown number, which I'm going to keep as a question mark, we would have multiplied that by 0.85. And we got the final value of 25 because that's how much I paid for it. Let me just get you to look at what I've written. Our unknown value was multiplied by 0.85 and I paid $25. Does everyone understand how I got this statement here? So our unknown value multiplied by 0.85 because we were reducing it by 15% gave me 25. How do I find my unknown value? It's straightforward. Well, I say straightforward. I hope it's straightforward. Rearranging and solving an equation. Indigo.
25 divided by 0.85.
Good. 25 divided by 0.85. Now, some people might say, whoa, what's going on here? How on earth is that going to give us a number that we're looking for? Well, you're dividing by a number smaller than 1, which means that your value is going to be bigger. Okay? So when you do that on the calculator, has anyone done that on the calculator? Yeah.
29.4 recurring 1176470.
Okay, no, obviously this is a rubbish example I chose. Alright, so 29.41. So my original price of my shirt was $29.41. Okay? Is that what you got as well, Mike? So that was the original cost of my shirt. It was reduced by 15%. I ended up paying $25 for it. So our original value was more, which makes sense because I paid less than it. Remember, what I'm always asking you to do when we're doing any kind of maths is look at your answer and check to see if it makes sense. Okay, is your number sensible? Okay, it's not one of those daft answers that I don't like. Next example, house prices had increased by 4% during 2008. If my house was valued at $650,000 at the start of 2009, how much was it worth at the start of 2008? So, something has increased in price, okay? It's increased by 4%. So what would I do for this? What would I say? Imani, see if you can tell me the whole thing.
So the mystery number times 1.04 and equals 500. Wait, thousand.
Tell me what this number is.
650,000.
Lovely.
And then
Okay, let's just thank you very much. That's the most important statement to make. our mystery number multiplied by 1.04. Imani, why did you choose 1.04?
Because you're increasing.
Okay, because it had increased by 4%. So Imani knows that to increase something by 4%, she would have multiplied it by 1.04. Okay? Are you all understanding that I'm not increasing any number by 4% here? I'm finding out what missing number was increased by 4%. Okay? If I had just taken off 4% from this, as I said, I wouldn't get the right answer. Okay, so then our mystery number is going to be 650,000 divided by 1.04. Before we even do that, is my answer going to be bigger or smaller? Smaller, good, because it had increased. So what value is it?
625,000.
Exactly?
Yes.
Awesome.
So that would be that answer.
So that's how much the house was
That'll be in money.
in 2008. So it would be dollars, yes. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
Okay, so that process is called reverse percentages. So sometimes a question is not going to have big flashing lights and our title says reverse percentages. So you have to look to see, has a change already happened? Are they trying to find out what the original value was? Or are they just simply asking us to increase or decrease something? Okay, so it's really important that you have the skill of reading the questions too. Now, I gave you a big pack of questions a few lessons ago. So it says review percentages, I think, on the top. Okay, so can we find that, please? That's what we're going to be working on today. Yeah, it says percentages review.
I love simple interest.